Hey guys, welcome back to Don't Forget the Art. Thank you so much for joining us again. I am going to do a longer version, kind of a more of a step by step, if you're interested in watching it, um, of this, a more difficult, more, maybe more for the advanced watercolor resist paintings. So, I think you may have already saw the video or the post for this kind of easy, um, easier kind of step-by-step painting with the water resistant, with the watercolor resist painting using crayons and watercolors. I would recommend trying these out first if you haven't worked with watercolors for a while, if watercolors medium is not your thing, just to kind of get yourself warmed up. It really doesn't take very long to put together one of these paintings, and it's a lot of fun to play around with the watercolors and learn how they work before you go into something that's a little bit more advanced. However, if you're ready for something a little bit more advanced, here you go, okay, for your olders or your more advanced artists. So, I'm going to show you a couple ideas and then work on one that I have started on just so you can kind of get an idea on how it would work. I printed out some pictures from Pixabay. Pixabay.com, Pixabay.com has royalty-free photos that you can use. Now, you can always go to Google or things like that. You're probably not going to be selling these, so it really doesn't matter quite so much about, what you're using for your reference photos. But Pixabay.com has reference photos that artists can use for free, royalty-free. Um, Now, I am going to warn you, just like any search engine, Pixabay does have pictures that you or your children may not to see. They are very nice in blocking them out and warning you this is adult content, but mamas, you probably want to be there with your kiddos to help them to get pictures. If you search on there for autumn or fall or things like that, you should be pretty safe. The pictures that I have here, I got on that site. So this would be one that I was working on I have started playing around a little bit more with watercolors and got myself um, a mixed media pad. Okay, this is 5.5 by 8.5 inches. Okay, so these are really small, just where I'm playing around a little bit with watercolors. And this is the one that I did with this. Now, I did not put the heart in the center. You certainly can. But all of them started out very much the same way. Very similar to how I started out with the other one. I did the sketch. I went over with where I wanted the watercolor resist to be. So here I outlined the leaf. And if you look here, for most of around the leaf, it's kind of a highlighted yellow. Okay, and this is natural picture anyway, so it worked out nicely. So I used a bright yellow to outline my leaf. And then I used kind of a burgundy color in order to go through the veins. Okay, so those are my crayon parts. Then I got into the watercolors and kind of went to town. I did the leaf first and then I did the background. Okay. Now I had to do this one twice. The first time I went over, as I've, kind of warned you guys before with watercolors, unfortunately with watercolors, they're going to dry lighter than you put them down. So I went over it a second time just to kind of brighten up those colors and things like that. So just remember that as you're doing it, you are going to want to put the colors down darker, or just know that you'll probably have to go over it a second time with some of those brighter colors. This is, oh, I love this picture, just this beautiful country road with beautiful foliage. This would be a really great picture for you to do for your watercolor resist picture. You could do in crayon some of this winding road. Just know that you're not going to want to put all of it, or put some of the red or fall colors, warm colors, red, orange, maybe some yellows in here. You could even use your crayons as your watercolor resist to go into some of the trunks. Just try to do yourself a favor and break up those trunks with it. You could also do this picture. This would look stunning in just a straight up watercolor painting. And if you're up for that, you certainly could too. The other thing you might want to pay attention to, really look at your pictures before you start getting into them. But if you look here, there's kind of some white in the sky. And if you've ever spent any time up north, then you probably know that unfortunately there are periods of time through fall and winter and sometimes even getting into the early parts of spring where there are certain places up there they just don't see the sun for a long time. So, you might want to put some white up in the sky so that you keep that part, save that part white or, kind of that cloudy color in through there. This picture I love too. And it would make a great watercolor resist. I actually did this as a soft pastel picture a couple of years ago. Um, and I kind of like the way it turned out. But this one would be fun as well to do with a, watercolor resist with crayons and watercolors. What I would do here is, excuse me, is to draw out the leaves. Okay, I would probably use, a yellow. This is what, like a corn on the cob, and use it for the veins. Okay. I don't know if maybe some of the shadows. I'm not sure. I mean, you could really just do. I mean, you could do the whole thing in watercolors. Again, you've got that kind of cloudy sky popping through here. That you might want to save. It would be really, fun just to try it out. That is not the picture I'm going to do, but I figured I would post the idea here, and I can certainly put these on the site for ideas. Okay, so before we get to the one that I am going to work on, what you're going to need, I am working with Canson watercolor paper. You can use any watercolor paper that you want. I have this. It's 140 pounds. This is 9 by 12, and it will help to absorb the water better. So you're going to want watercolor paper or a multimedia. I would not go lower than that. Those are designed to handle the water, so I would go ahead and use those. As you can see, I have my picture taped down, so hopefully that means that I will not be getting out of camera view this time around. I would use some kind of painter's tape. Get this right at the hardware store. You can get it at the craft store. I don't know if they charge more for it because it's in the art section versus the hardware section, but just get some of that. I would recommend the blue, even though I have purple. The purple does not really hold it down very well. And I have found that out the hard way. Then you're going to need crayons. Again, brand does not matter. If you have kids for any length of time or you are a kid of any age, at some point you probably get a big old box like this. Pick out the colors that you want or have them there. I'm using mostly yellows and browns, some white. I think I've got a black in there. And then you're going to want watercolors, of course, because that's what we're using. So this is a Master's Touch Hobby Lobby brand. I've had really good luck with some of these, the pigments and things like that. The other thing is if you've got these around, lying around, these are fabulous watercolors. One is probably Crayola. This is Rose Art. One is probably the Crazy Art or whatever it is. Crayola works great. Do not discount the quality of these watercolors. They're really good, okay? This is the watercolor one that I usually use. As you can see, it's pretty scratched up. I've had it for a couple years, and with it, I have actually produced some professional paintings. So again, don't discount, use what you have. Get decent quality stuff without breaking the bank, especially if you are not 100% sure, or this is your first go around with doing it. That was a bumblebee that I did. That was all watercolors. Again, used this watercolor set with it. All watercolors except for I used ink around here. This one is using watercolor pencils and watercolors. Again, both Master's Touch right there from Hobby Lobby. I am not, saying anything against Michael's. I'm sure they have good quality stuff there as well. And I would go ahead and try it. If you want good quality things, you don't have to break the bank in order to do amazing artwork. Use what you have, and then once want to move up to something, better, nicer, or whatever, go for it and do it. But I would start, a little bit smaller unless you know that this is something that you're going to want to do. Okay, so this picture I actually started a little bit yesterday. Um, Kids were asleep, everybody was kind of sleeping in, so I figured, hey, I'll start this. And when I was working on it, I was thinking to myself, what must it be like for, animals who are watching these leaves fall? So I have not drawn it really, really dark, um, but I am using one of my kind of go-to guys with my drawing. I have done a couple different owl pictures. You may have seen it if you are on my professional art page. I think I may have shown him to you before, but let me go get him again. This guy, okay, he's kind of my go-to guy. And I don't know why, but what do you think of? I mean, I guess we're getting into fall, October, things like that. The owls come out. And so I was wondering when I was starting to sketch something, what must it be like for the animals who stay up north? And all of a sudden, all the leaves start falling off. I mean, they use those trees to sleep and shelter and things like that. And all of a sudden, the leaves start falling off. I wonder if they get a little perturbed. So I'm not sure if he's happy, sad, excited, or wondering what the heck is going on. Not quite sure, but this was where I was going with him. So I am going to go ahead and start painting him in. Um, I started here with putting in some of what I want for my watercolor resist. So I am going to outline him in the crayon, and I'm going to outline him in some black and brown. Based on his little feathers up here, I am assuming he is some kind of a great horned owl. And so that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to finish putting this together. And then I am going to so I've got his face kind of colored in. I'm gonna pull his kind of the darkness with his feathers down a little bit. Okay, I've got a wing over here. I will be out there in a little bit, buddy. Okay, and then pull that up. Now these are the wings I'm gonna put darker, and then I'm going to put his little belly might make his belly a little bit lighter there. Okay, I'm going to make his eyes a little bit darker. Now the eyes of the great horned owl were actually yellow, but they kind of had a black ring around them. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'll bring his beak down. And with the beak, I'm going to put a little bit of a white spot, so it kind of has a little bit of a highlight on it. That's one of the things that you guys can do to really help your artwork kind of pop, is give it some of the, the eyes, put the eye shine in. So I actually already did that. I've got kind of like that little reflection on the eyes that'll help to, give it a little bit of a three-dimensionality to it. And obviously going to make the pupils black. So we will work on that. Then for his little toes, I think I'm just going to go ahead and completely cover these in with the crayon. So I don't even have to worry about painting those. I erased some of the pencil already, so my apologies. I know that's doesn't help you see it, but hopefully as I'm drawing back over it, you can kind of see them. Now you can do, again, whatever you want. This was just something I kind of came to mind. And so you guys can even, you can go with your own imagination. You don't have to use a reference photo. You don't even have to do fall or leaves or anything like that. It's one of the things, sadly, around this time of the year. You see it on the pictures, you see it in the stores. If you have family and friends who are up north, they're probably posting beautiful pictures. And although we can post pictures of us going to the beach, I guess this time of the year, one thing we don't have or can't do or whatever is doing too much of that fall foliage. We have some, especially if you happen to go on some of the back roads in Florida, you can see some of that, but it's definitely not the same as up north. So let's see, maybe give him a little bit more in through here. Okay. And then I guess just to add some depth. And you can totally play around with whatever, crayon colors you have or whatever. I don't want to take up too much of your time with this, but I definitely want to, if you wanted the opportunity to kind of get an idea of what to do instead of the fast forwarded version, I wanted to give you guys that opportunity. So I will post all of them, the fast forwarded version and this, in case you're looking for a little bit more of a how-to. Okay. And because we've got, I'm going to make this a little bit, I think I want darker than that. This is brown. I've got a few different colors and shades of brown through here. Okay. And, adding the different colors, different browns, different colors will give you some different ideas. This is kind of a maroon brown color. With all the big thing, the colors after a while they lose their thing. So you just kind of have to guess. I wish I could give you more specifics, but I found this one and I thought, oh, this will work. Okay, so I'm going to add some kind of dashed lines to make it look like this leaf has been falling. All right, so the other thing I would suggest that you would need that I didn't mention yet are 2 cups of water. Okay. One you're going to use, or I used, and a lot of professional artists use as your clear water to put down, to play around with your paints. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit. The other one is to actually clean your brush. Okay. And because I didn't get it, let me grab it quickly. You are also going to want some paper towel. Okay, so that you can wipe that brush clean. All right, let me get, I just realized I didn't outline my leaf here, not in crayon anyway. And I'm going to, also didn't put his tree that he's on. So I'm going to put the brown for the tree, and I'm even just gonna help that, make it a little bit darker. Okay, and you know, that would have some texture to it. So this is this little tree limb that he's sitting on or whatever. Okay, just to give some kind of depth to it. All right, so let's start with our main guy here. So I'm going to do my owl. And the first thing I am going to start with are his pupils. Let's get that in. Okay, so you could see I put the water in there, and now comes the magic part. I am going to go in and get my paint. Okay, give him some black pupils. Okay, and as you can see, even though I'm going over that part where I put the wax crayon, that wax is just not letting that watercolor to stay on there to dry. Okay, and that's a good thing. That's what we want. Okay, that's going to help to give us that white color. Now they have water, if you enjoy watercolors and you don't know already, or if you wind up enjoying watercolors after doing this project. Oops, that is not what I wanted. So let me show you, if you make a mistake, you can usually clean it up pretty easily with watercolors. Let's pull that out, pull that up. Okay, so you get a thirsty brush, a brush that's already wet. You dry it, and then we are going to pull that out. Okay, because this part we want yellow. So might just be one of those happy accidents. And the good news is we might actually have a shadow there then for that, which is not going to be a bad thing. All right. Now I'm pulling up the black part. See? It's one fun thing, I guess, when you guys watch me do it live, or you know, the full thing. You get to see all my boo-boos, my happy accidents. Okay, so there we go. And then I'm going to get, for his beak, I want some gray. I don't think I wanted to go as dark as black, because I've got the black pupils, and I want it to kind of show a little bit. So I think I'm gonna, and I've got it highlight or outlined in with the black, so I think I'm just gonna use the gray. We can always go back over it if we need to. Okay, so that's gonna give him gray beak. All right, then let's start working on, while that's drying, one thing that you want to know about watercolors, you kind of want to let things dry, okay, kind of like acrylic. So while this part is drying, we'll move to someplace else. Okay, let's start working on maybe his wings and his body. So I've got, you know, a couple browns to choose from here, and we can certainly mix some colors, but I'm just going to grab, and let's just start filling in this with, should have done my water first. Fill this in with water. Okay, and then I'm going to go back over and grab my kind of rich brown here. Okay, I'm going to grab a different color brown and kind of throw that in there, here and there, just to kind of break that up a bit. All right, let's go up through here. One thing I will say that I like about this brush, this is a number 14. I got this in a package that I've started playing around a little bit more seriously with watercolors a little bit, and I got a nice brush, and these are great. They hold a ton of water, which you want when you're playing around with watercolors. And that means they also hold a ton of paint. Plus, they really, so far, I have to say I'm impressed with how nicely they keep their tip. So that means I can paint some pretty tight spaces even with this lighter or this bigger brush. Okay. Okay, so you can kind of get into some detailed work here. So I'm going to use, when I looked at, again, great horned owl, his little tufts of feathers that kind of make up those horns seemed darker, while the feathers on the top of his head seemed a little bit lighter. So we'll give these kind of a dark, rich brown. Okay. And then clean that out. Then I'm going to try this chestnut kind of color here. Let's get some of those little tufts here. And again, that crayon that we put in is going to help us to, kind of help guide us. But you don't, I mean, if you really just want to play around with watercolors without any of the resist, you certainly can do that. I am not going to stop someone who wants to just play around with watercolors. Just know, just like watercolors are, they're going to blend together, okay? And that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It's one of the, awesome, amazing things about it. They are also pretty translucent, even transparent, so the paper is going to poke through, and that makes it fun and interesting as well. It's not opaque like your acrylics and oils and other types of paint, even gouache. It's just, you can build, you can add layers, you can do those different types of things, and the things that you put out down underneath are going to pop through, as you can see right there. So I'm going to work on this other wing over here. And I should have grabbed some of that cleaner water to kind of make it go through here. So I'm just going to leave that for just a minute. Try to pull some of this rich brown color here down. Okay. All right. Now let's try playing around with his belly a little bit before, actually now that, well, yeah, try working on this a little bit. Okay. And try to avoid mixing too much. This side over on the edge there is pretty dry. Okay. Pull this. As you can see, as I'm putting the water in, it's just kind of having fun and blooming and doing all sorts of cool stuff. And that's not bad. It's kind of what we want. I know it's scary. And as I've said a few times, and I'll say again, watercolors, one of the reasons I think have started enjoying watercolors or been enjoying watercolors is that it helps me control um, my inner control freak. It helps me to put her in check. Um, it helps you to kind of know that it's okay not to control everything. Um, Beautiful, amazing things can happen when it's outside of your control. Now I'm going to try to pull some of that down so it kind of gives the lines. I'm really kind of liking the way this one is turning out. You're just going to have to let go of control. It's not going to be like acrylics. It's not going to be like pencils or colored pencils. It really does require you to just kind of have faith and trust and let go. I tend to be a control freak. If you've ever seen my day planner and if you've ever talked to me, you kind of know that. It's one thing I've been working on, and there's a few different mediums and styles of painting that help me to kind of let go of that, and watercolors is one of them, and it's one that I've really been enjoying lately. I'm kind of liking that, looking at the picture of it. Okay, all right, so I'm going to leave that there. And I'm not going to make the same mistake with the eyes as I did with this. I'm going to pull out my smaller brush. This is number 6. Okay, and I'm going to get that, pull off. Sometimes I have pets, so sometimes these little fuzzies kind of come on, or just dust, I guess, could be. Now, I am going to go through and around this white area and get the water. I'm actually getting the wrong water. I'm getting the dirty water, but I guess it won't really matter. All right, and I'm going to go get me some pretty yellow for those eyes. Okay, and in theory, this yellow should only go where I have put the water. Okay. Okay, I'm going to let that go for a little bit. Okay. All right. All right, and like I said, it's going to dry lighter than you think. So I'm not being afraid. I want those to be some bright, if you've seen owl eyes, you know they are bright yellow. So that's what I'm doing right here. You can see how much that is glowing from my lights that I have above here. Okay, that is wet and it is a rich, rich yellow. And again, as you see it, as it's going to dry, you will see that it's going to uh, probably lighten up a little bit. Now, some of those where I've got some kind of strange bloomy things going on, I'm just going to kind of pull them up so we get a little bit more striped instead of speckled. And I'm going to go over and I'm going to grab my leaf. Okay, I am going to, you know what, he's going to be yellow. I've already got enough yellow things going on. I've got his yellow down here, and actually, while I'm at it, maybe I'll just go and fill that in a little bit. I know it's going to resist, but just like, you know when you do with crayons, and I just boo-booed. Okay, well, happy accidents. Oops. As you know with crayons, the whole thing doesn't get you know, you've got those white dots in there. So that's what I'm trying to fill in right now, are those white dots in between my toes and stuff like that without getting it mixed in with the brown. But I think I'm might be failing there. I can always go back over with some darker and kind of touch that up. All right, but without getting it into my feet. All right, I'll let that dry. Let's grab some, let's grab kind of a yellow orange color without having it be too similar to the color that I've got there. And just gonna dab the colors in, because you know, with you know, leaves, with uh, fall leaves, you know, they aren't just one color. They've got lots of colors in there. I mean, they've even got some green if you look around in there. Okay, so don't be afraid to just kind of let that show through. And one of the best ways that I've found to kind of do that over the past few days that I've been working on these is to just dab some colors in and see what happens. Let them all kind of blend together. And you know, that's kind of more of what nature, you know, looks like anyway. Very rarely do you see this just kind of uniform one color leaf, even if you pick up a green leaf or something like that. You know, there's different shades of green. Places are darker and lighter and things like that. So, you know, don't be afraid to play around with it. All right, now we need to get the background, we need to get his face, and we need to get his feet, or his the log that he's on, the branch that he's on. So let's start someplace. Let's go back to his face, and I'm going to keep this brush here. Okay, and I'm going to kind of do the same thing that I did with his other, you know what? I do want to add a little bit of a darker, just to kind of give a shadow under his chin, just to kind of separate out his chin, his head from the rest of his body. And let's give him some extra little stripes or interest here on his wing there. There we go. All right, he's starting to pop out a little bit, right? Okay. You know what? I might want to wait a little while. This guy is I don't know why his yellow started popping out. Maybe I put too much on there, or the paper might be warping. That might be happening too. So I guess it's not bad if I put the dip dark rich brown kind of around his eyes. That might actually help to pull it out and together. I think I'm gonna have to go over that a little bit and get it darker. You can see how much lighter that part has dried since doing it the first time. You know, I'm sure and now I'm sticking my hand right in it. There we go. Happy accidents. It's okay. I don't want the brown in there though. That's not a happy accident. Let's pull that up. All right. Watercolors are pretty forgiving in that when it's in this wet phase, you can go back over it and everything. So note to self, don't stick hand in painting. Okay. So there's his little face. Done. All right. And I do like that deep, rich, kind of black or brownish around this, kind of where the black is around his eyes. Let me just see if I can kind of help that to pop out a little bit more. And then get some of this, give him a little fluff there. Okay. The shadows, taking the time to put some of these shadows in, whatever you're doing, whether it's the leaves or a critter or whatever, is certainly going to help you to your picture to pop. It's just that extra layer of depth that's going to just really add to it. It's that just like with food, I guess, when you put when you make the food, it's not bad or whatever, but when you start adding some spices and little extra flavors and stuff like that, that's that kind of wow factor, I guess. And that's what you can do with painting or drawing as well. When you start adding in the details, when you start adding in the depth and the shadows, it's what takes, a good drawing to the wow. Okay. And, when I was, younger, teenager, whatever, I definitely got into my very dark periods and everything else. And, but, then when I got back into art again, it almost swung the other direction where everything was very light and bright to the point that, sometimes in my paintings I'm almost afraid to use the dark colors. And, the reality is in order for the lights to really pop, you need the darks, you need the balance of the highlights and the darks and the darker values. You don't have to use black per se. There's plenty of artists, especially impressionists, that have not used it. Even for their shadows, they would instead use other colors or whatever to do that. And that's a fun experiment in itself as well. But don't be afraid to put the lights, the lights and darks in there. Don't be afraid to take those few minutes and add a little extra to your picture. It definitely does make a difference. And I think I'm about to call him done. Now, again, if this was mine, I'd probably be fussing with him a little bit longer. And, maybe once I'm done with this, I'll probably add some more details in. But he's coming along. All right, so we need to get his tree branch. Okay, so we're going to do that along the bottom. Okay, again, we're really only using a handful of colors here. I almost feel bad, but at least for me, and I'm guessing for you, there's going to be a lot of that too. I mean, most of the pictures that we're looking at, you're looking at your warmer values. This I'm gonna use a little bit of a a warmer um, would that be like a yellow ochre type color, kind of a brownish yellow, just to give a little bit of interest here for his tree branch. And then I can go back in and okay, so I'm going to do what I should have done here. I'm going to go through and I'm going to put all the get the whole thing with this good clear water. Okay, it's got some yellow and stuff mixed into it because it's already starting to spread around, but that's what I'm going to do. I'll put that over there just like that. Okay, and then from here I'm going to grab some more of this. Okay, I don't know what kind of tree this is, but you know, just to give a variety of, since our owl is kind of dark, try to give a variety here and give him some lighter branch. Maybe we'll put some darker colors in there in a little bit, but okay, so that's that. All right, and then like I said, well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it now. I'm gonna grab some of this kind of chestnutty brown, and I'm just gonna kind of streak it along. Give that try to avoid his toes. Okay. Okay. All right. That's that. Okay, and now all we're left with is this fun background. Okay, so I'm going to use, since I've got this guy yellow, I'm going to use the background in a variety of oranges and reds. All right, so I'm going to start here with putting out, making this side, you know, and I'm going to do one section at a time. I don't know why. I didn't think my house was that dry. And, you know, here in Florida, we got a little bit of a cold snap, and then it's kind of warmed back up a little bit. I think we have another one coming through this week, but I don't know. Maybe the humidity has dropped more than I think because my when I've been playing around with watercolor paintings, they have definitely been drying faster than I anticipate. Or I guess in sections like this beak is still wet. I guess I put a lot of water in there. But it's just one of those things, you know, and just like anything you do, I guess it's, you know, learn as you go. Now, I'm just going to be really super fun and free about this. And if you watched kind of the easy video or the whole, you know, the video with the fast forwards in there, you'll see that, you know, one of the fun things with watercolors is just watching them bloom and mix and play around and whatnot. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to make this kind of a blurry background with lots of fun colors. So here's where I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to pull out my reds, my oranges, and we're just going to go. Okay. So I'm just going to pull this out, and there's that. And I'm going to pull this out, and we're going to watch them come together and play around and do what they're going to do. And then we're going to go in with the yellow, and we're just going to be really free and fun. And there you go. And we're gonna, we've got some of this yellow down there. Let's just mix it around. Okay, and you can see I'm even going over parts of this with the where it's dry. Okay, where it's dry, it's not a big deal. Okay, some of this is I guess it's all dry. And it's almost going to push it to the background, and that's a-okay. As you can see, this tape is coming up, so don't get purple painter's tape. Get the blue stuff. Okay. And again, you can see I'm just being very loosey-goosey. We're just going with it. It's creating all sorts of fun fall foliage, and you can make spots darker, and you can make spots lighter. And, even if you're going to do like a painting like this one, I mean, this is what I would recommend. Usually watercolor paintings are just very loose and fun and free, and you're not looking for any huge amounts of detail. Like, don't paint every leaf, okay? Just paint with your heart, paint the picture, and just go with it. I think you're going to be surprised at what you kind of come up with, and what happens. I mean, just let the paint do its thing. It's a really fun, weird, strange medium. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like no other, where it just kind of does that, and things just, without much effort, energy, things look absolutely amazing, and fun and relaxed um, and wonderful. Um, Never thought I would like watercolors. When my art teacher first told me, "Oh, we're going to do watercolors," oh, I wasn't going to do much yellow, was I? Well, we'll do some there. And of course, since this leaf is falling, we'll put some. Man, my water's already drying. Put yellow up there. And let's grab more yellow. Orange. Now you could even tape this all the way around. And I should have. I just did a quick taping it. The cool thing is when it has that border, it looks so professional, especially when you take it off. It's just a very exciting moment. So don't be afraid to do that. Okay, now to help make that leaf pop out, I'm really gonna try to get some darker colors around it so that it really pops out. And I'm gonna go ahead and let them blend in. I'm gonna grab like a darker orange, and now I have the crayon around it, don't forget. So that's gonna help to kind of keep things separated, with that there. And I want to make sure that things are all kind of blended together. Blue, we don't want you. We're using fall colors. You gotta wait a little while. So I'm curious, I would love to know if you guys have had a lot of experience with watercolors and if you like it or don't. Again, it's one of those mediums I hear a lot of people, kind of say that they don't like. I think it's because, you use them as kids and you really aren't taught how to use them. They're just cheap and easy to clean up. And things like that. So it's just one that we do with that, but we're never really taught, really how to use them. So I'm curious what experience you've had in the past, and then for real, once you do this painting, hopefully you do this, maybe not this specifically, but try the watercolor resist, and let me know what you think of it, what your experience was before, what your experience is after. I would be really, really interested to hear. Hopefully this helps to take a little bit of the mystery out of it. The biggest thing, like I said, is just being patient, letting it do what it's going to do, but also learning how to control it. So doing one section at a time so that you can help it to, do what it's supposed to do, um, go where you want it to go, and use those methods to kind of control the medium a little bit more. But I think that's it. So once it dries, I will sign it, and yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoy it. I cannot wait to see your pictures of it. I will definitely post this once it is dry. I, of course, might go through and touch it up a little bit, but you can see this is pretty much done. And again, hopefully you guys enjoy it. I can't wait to see yours. And happy arting, everyone. I will. I will look forward to seeing your finished art projects. I really wanted to do some kind of a, maybe, yeah, I think I have to wait a little bit longer for this to dry. But, watch me clean up my mistake. All right, so you saw that. I tried it. It didn't work. Go get some orange. And look, never even happened. Maybe that's what I can do to kind of help outline that. All right, guys. Enjoy. I can't wait to see your finished products. Happy arting, everyone.